Axe and you have Smash. And if you watched wrestling during the boom period of the 1980s, chances are you do remember these guys. Black leather, spiked gear, war paint, and the theme song that started with the unforgettable line, "Here comes the axe, here comes the smasher." Now, it's a Road Warriors Legion of Doom feel, okay? And you did get that feel when you did see them. I'm not going to, brush over that. But they were exciting. They were really over. The fans absolutely loved them.
Us just years, you many years, you decades.
And when they wrestled the likes of the Powers of Pain, and they exemplified how great their work in the ring was. Their first run with the tag team championships lasted 478 days. Like I said a little bit ago, that's a record. That's a record. Stood as the longest reign for nearly 3 decades. They probably should have been put in the Hall of Fame a few years ago, if we're telling the truth. There's a lot of folks in the Hall of Fame that I just don't personally agree that they should be in there. There was a lawsuit with Vince and everything else. Probably the reason why they didn't get put in. Now that, we've got, TKO, who cares, right? That's kind of the mindset I think that they probably have right now. They probably said, "Hey, that's the past. That was the last regime. That was the old boss." The new regime, the new boss, the new king of the castle loves Demolition, and we want to put him in. Um, I think that they probably should have been put in probably before the U.S. Express, in my opinion. They like I said, having that record for that title reign and how over they were in the 80s. Yeah, they should have been brought in. Bill Eadie as Axe and Barry Darsow as Smash. Okay. Um, Eadie, if you don't already know, he was a veteran of the wrestling business, worked across multiple promotions, as different gimmicks. He was over already and just a heck of a worker in the ring. Darso was also an experienced wrestler too. He worked as Crusher in the NWA before joining the WWF. When the WWF introduced Demolition in 1987, the goal was very clear: create a tag team that looked intimidating and impossible to beat and just unstoppable. They accomplished that. I mean, you don't hold the title for 478 days without being able to have a gimmick that can get over like that. I mean, when you're talking a year and a half of a title reign, you better be doing your job. You better know what you're doing, and especially as tag team champions. I know that the tag team division today isn't what it once was in the glory years of tag team. Even then, when tag teams were sometimes a main event. I mean, the Road Warriors main evented, the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll. These were main event tag teams, which is you would never ever think about a tag team main eventing any any show now. But in the 80s, man, tag teams were huge, and Demolition was at the top of their game. Those masks that they would wear to the ring, that they would remove once they got to the ring, man, it was Mad Max. It felt like something from a third layer of hell. That these guys looked like demons when they came. They had a Kiss feel to them, I thought. When I remember Demolition, I think of the band Kiss. I think of Gene Simmons. I think of Paul Stanley. The way that they dressed and looked and the way they painted their face was much different than the Road Warriors or the Powers of Pain. They had a full face paint. Like they covered their entire face with the black, the leather, the spikes. They just, to me, I thought of Kiss when I thought of Demolition. A post-apocalyptic type of gimmick. And the other thing is like you've got this tag team and they got a manager in Johnny Valiant. And I don't think they ever really needed a manager. I thought they were pretty good on the mic. They soon aligned with Mr. Fuji. Anytime you have an opportunity to work with Mr. Fuji, you've got to take it. right? And real quick, while we're talking about Mr. Fuji, I'm going to tell you a story about Mr. Fuji that I heard from The Undertaker. So, Mr. Fuji would go to the bar. He enjoyed some cocktails. He would stand at the bar and be talking to a young talent. The young talent would pick Mr. Fuji's brain, who was brilliant when it came to professional wrestling. He was a genius. So, young talent would have these conversations. What am I doing right? Am I doing this? Should I do that? And what do you think about this move? What do you think about how I'm approaching this way during a match? What should I do? How should I do this different? And Mr. Fuji would just sit there and go, yes, 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 yes. That's perfect. You're doing this great. You're doing that great. Oh, yes, you should do that. That's awesome. He would just listen and listen. And the whole time he's just ordering drinks and he's putting them on the young talent's tab. Now that's one thing. That's just that's paying your dues when you're a young up and coming wrestler. But what that wrestler also sometimes didn't realize, because maybe they were a little intoxicated and they were deep into conversation with this genius in Mr. Fuji, and they've got Mr. Fuji listening to them, which anyone at that time would want. He would also be pissing in their boot or on their shoes without without them even realizing. It was just something, a rib that all the guys knew, all the boys knew about it. They knew what was gonna happen when they would see it at the bar, and they would sit back and they would watch and laugh. They thought it was the greatest thing ever. I would probably be sitting back and laughing. More than likely, a lot of those guys that were sitting back and laughing had their shoes pissed on by Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji was brilliant, one of the greatest managers to ever do it. He became synonymous with Demolition, and he added a layer of cunning, he was such a good villain that he added to their brutal style that they already had. You've got these two men in the ring that are just brutes. They are tough. They are mean. Everything is powerful. Everything is hard. And then you got this elegance with Mr. Fuji that he's this conniving individual. He just added another layer to Demolition. He looked different, he felt different, he sounded different, and he approached things different than Demolition. But yet, he fit in with them. It was a perfect marriage between those three. I loved him being their manager. Early on, Demolition, they weren't necessarily loved by the fans, which, hey, you got to earn your stripes there. Fans are tough. They were introduced as villains, dominant, ruthless, destructive. They actually came along at the perfect time. Like we were saying earlier, this was a tag team boom era. The 80s were all about the tag teams. We remember Hogan. We remember Andre. We remember Ultimate Warrior. We remember the Roddy Piper, Flair. But the tag teams were so freaking good. Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Rockers, um, Road Warriors / Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call them. And then we're still carrying on with the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express. All those guys, absolutely insane. Hall of Famers after Hall of Famers after Hall of Famers. Absolutely a stacked division. And then you've got Demolition. They quickly established themselves as a powerhouse in that division. You had the Hart Foundation, who were technical, as we all know, some of the greatest wrestlers ever. The British Bulldogs, once again, great wrestlers, technical. They had this perfect look, the perfect muscles. Everything's chiseled just right. And then you have, of course, the Rockers with, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels becoming, arguably the greatest wrestler to ever do it. They were the poster child of the girls love the Rockers. The good-looking guys, high flying. They were ahead of their time, to be honest with you. So you've got all of these types of tag teams, and then here comes Demolition. Brute force. Beat the hell out of you. That's what Demolition did. They just beat the hell out of you.